Spider-Man: Brand New Day just hit theaters, and its final 10 minutes do a lot of heavy lifting. A devastating sacrifice, a quiet emotional reunion, and a post-credits scene that might just be the most important stinger of Marvel's entire multiverse saga. If you haven't seen the movie yet, turn back now, because this video is a full spoiler breakdown of the ending and the post-credits scene. Let's get into it. Quick refresher, this movie picks up years after No Way Home, where Peter asked Doctor Strange to erase every memory of his identity from the world. That means Peter's alone. No MJ, no Ned, no Aunt May remembering who he is. He spent the time since fully devoted to being Spider-Man, using the isolation as fuel, but clearly buckling under the loneliness of it. That emotional through-line, a hero who saved everyone but lost his whole support system in the process, is what the ending pays off. The climax puts Peter in the middle of a standoff involving Jean Grey, who's exerting a telepathic hold over a huge crowd. Peter manages to reach her, and for a moment, it actually looks like things might resolve peacefully between them. Then, Frank Castle, the Punisher, takes his shot at Jean from a distance, and Peter throws himself in front of the bullet to save her. It's a brutal gut punch of a moment, because it's Peter's instinct to protect first and think second, even when it nearly kills him. He wakes up later in a hospital bed and learns Jean used her powers to keep him alive before disappearing. So the movie doesn't give us a neat, tidy resolution with Jean. She's gone, her whereabouts unknown, and that's very much left as a loose thread. But the real emotional climax isn't the fight, it's what happens right after. Peter runs into Ned at a deli. Remember, Ned still doesn't consciously remember that the two of them were best friends. That memory got wiped along with everyone else's. Peter introduces himself like a stranger, and almost on instinct, the two of them fall into their old signature handshake, muscle memory kicking in before either of them even realizes what's happening. It visibly jogs something loose in Ned. He gets this flicker of recognition. Peter smiles, and the movie cuts to black right there. It's deliberately ambiguous whether Ned fully remembers or just feels like something's familiar, but thematically, it's the film telling us Peter isn't going to be alone forever. The bonds run deeper than a spell. Now here's the part everyone's talking about, and I do mean the very end. Marvel plays a little trick here. There's no mid-credits scene at all, and the stinger doesn't show up at the usual spot either. It's tucked in after the studio logos, right at the tail of the credits, so a lot of people are going to walk out early and miss it completely. Here's what happens. Remember, Ned's been building this whole Spidey tracker app throughout the movie? Not to expose Spider-Man's identity, but out of this weird, obsessive gratitude, because Spider-Man saved him and his classmates during those field trips back in the earlier films. He doesn't consciously know it's Peter, he just knows Spider-Man matters to him. The scene shows Ned's app pinging a new Spider-Man sighting. The map starts zooming out, past New York, past Earth, past the moon, and settles on a lone Spider-Man icon floating in deep space. The app glitches for a second and then confirms it. Spider-Man is no longer on Earth. So what's actually going on here? The leading theory, and it's a strong one, ties directly into Avengers: Doomsday, which is the next film on Marvel's slate and features heroes from across the multiverse converging to face Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. A Spider-Man drifting alone in space, disconnected from Earth, lines up with the kind of multiversal displacement that movie is built around. There's also an obvious visual callback here to Infinity War, when Peter first got pulled off-world into a cosmic threat he wasn't ready for. The framing feels intentional. There's also the Jean Grey thread hanging out there. She vanishes at the end of the film with her future totally unresolved. There's speculation she could be building towards some version of the X-Men entering this timeline, though the movie is careful not to confirm anything concrete about where, or if, a Xavier-style institution even exists in this universe. Brand New Day gives Peter Parker a genuinely hopeful ending on a personal level. He's not alone anymore, even if the road back to his friends is going to take time. But it immediately undercuts that piece with a stinger that yanks him back into cosmic, multiversal stakes just before Avengers: Doomsday.